Shalawama, welcome to Astrotheology. I am Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. All right, let's get ready to get started. Okay, so to all of you who have been with us from the beginning, a special welcome and a special thanks for spending your evening with us consistently for the past 53 days. This is our 53rd presentation. I believe this is 53 or 54. I don't remember. But special welcome to all of you who have been with us from the beginning. Special welcome to all of you who are real strong in the comment section. Special welcome to all of you who are new. If this is your first time with us, welcome. We are studying Astrotheology. Our book for this study is The Devil's Pulpit, y'all. The Devil's Pulpit. But don't let the name fool you. The topic has nothing to do with devils and demons and witches and warlocks and spiritistic stuff. None of that at all. It is, in fact, science. It is science. Philology. Yes, indeed. Give me 1 second, y'all. All right, so our topic, we're dealing with science, specifically philology. Okay, we're dealing with philology. All right, there's no spookism, no spookism. The author makes a very compelling case against the authenticity of the Gospels, and you'll have to go back. I'm not going to tell, but if you're new, you'll have to go back to the first video, okay, and start with the first presentation to figure out what's going on, because it's too much to try to summarize. But just know that this book is worth every second you invest in reading it, okay? But warning, because it is a difficult read. And that's the value that I bring to this presentation. Because it's a difficult read, my value is to give you access to hundreds of thousands of dollars that I have invested in my formal education over decades, that's plural, over decades of study. Over decades of study, okay? All right. At the bachelor level, master level, and doctorate level. Okay, so not only that, but you get the benefit of the discipline and consistency, the persistence and the discipline and the consistency that I've developed through all of the agony, pain, suffering, and everything else that you can think of, physically, financially, in every way that you could imagine, by going through that process of sacrifice and suffering that it took and takes to gain a formal education. All right, I've done that, and I'm giving you access to it as I present by reading the text, interpreting the text unbiasedly, not giving you my opinion, but interpreting the text. And then also from time to time, I'll incorporate something from my own life, meaning my own experience, okay? So that's the value that I give to this discussion. That's the value that I bring to you. That's the main reason I hope that you come here, okay? Now, I can guarantee you that this book, most people will find it a difficult read. And for those people who are up to the challenge, those people who start to read the book, I don't think I don't think most people would make it past the first half of the book. And then those people who make it past the first half, I don't think not even 1% of them would make it to where we are even, which is lecture on Freemasonry part 3. Lecture on Freemasonry part 3. Yes. So we're on page 263. The book ends on page 341. All right. So y'all see, we're very, very close to completing this book. So that's the value. That's the value that you get. The tenacity to finish. The tenacity to finish this book. All right. So I'm giving you access to that, and you're not having to pay for anything. So all of the work and effort, the money, all of the other investments that I have put into me to get to be and where I am right now, I'm giving you that for free. So show some love, all right? Like and share the video. Subscribe if you have not already subscribed. So give me a second. Let me check to see if our live stream is working okay. Okay, give me 1 second, please. Okay, we're good. Live stream is good, so we will go ahead and get started. So y'all make sure be active in the comment section and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already done so. Call somebody, text somebody, tell them to come here now because we're about to begin. All right. These are lectures that you really don't want to miss because this is information that you're not going to get in other places. Now, those of you who are familiar with the Strong's Lexicon, Brown Driver Briggs, etc., you may have already noticed that these old meanings, these old definitions that the author is giving us for certain words do not appear in either the Strong's or the Brown Driver Briggs. Y'all see that? Y'all see that? For those of you who are familiar, very familiar with those two books, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So you're not going to get this information from any place else. These sermons were given in 1831, these lectures on Freemasonry, 1831, okay? 1831. So the author obviously has access to information that's not widely known or even available today. So y'all call somebody, text somebody, and tell them to come to Zion Law School on YouTube now so they can participate and get this information, okay? So here we go. Here we go, y'all. Let me get our document ready. Before we get started, take a look, y'all. Take a look at what we have on the screen. That's our language, Ancient Ibaryath. All right. So for those of you who are already subscribed, thank you. For those of you who have not subscribed, consider doing so. Consider doing so. It's only $10 a month. And what's that? You put yourself in the power position by subscribing so that you'll be able to translate the Hebrew scriptures on your own. The same way we are demonstrating how the author used linguistics, to show the real meaning, according to him, the real meaning of the Gospels, you'll be able to do the same thing through the skills that you learn in that streaming and that online streaming 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, y'all. Okay, so if you like what we do here, if you like the content, if you like the way I teach, or if you just like me, consider supporting our work, okay, so that we can do better and do more and do it faster and at a higher level. It costs money to function in this world, okay, and I don't think I need to say anything more than that. All right, so here's the lecture on Freemasonry, part 3, coming out of the Devil's Pulpit by by Reverend Robert Taylor. Here we are, y'all. Let's get ready to get started. Let me check. Let me check on the comment section before I read. See if we have any comments before I get started. All right. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, what happened? Comments. All right. All right. What's going on? Comments. Okay. All right. So here we go, y'all. Here we go. Let's do it. All right. Lecture on Freemasonry, part 3. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 20 reads, "Now the capital God of peace that brought again from the dead our capital Lord JC, the Christ figure, that great shepherd of the sheep, through the blood of the everlasting covenant, make you perfect in every good work to do his will, working in you that which is well pleasing in his sight, through JC, the Christ figure, to whom be glory forever and ever." And then we see the deity name, AMMON. Again, that's a quotation from Hebrews 13, verse 20. So let's continue. By now, scholars, everyone, if you've been coming here for a while, you should recognize that there is going to be a relationship between the deity here, AMMON. Y'all see how it's spelled, right? And you should already know, if you've been coming here, there's going to be a relationship between that deity and this one, JC, the Christ figure. How do I know? And also between this deity, right? We can presume, or assume rather, that there's going to be a relationship between these three deities. How do we know? Or how do I know? Well, because that's the pattern that we've been seeing, right? That's the pattern. So as I read this, I'm going to keep an eye out or watch out for information and even expect to find a relationship. Okay. Typically, it's going to be what? What can we already know? Or what can we already guess or suppose? We can already suppose that these are going to be the same deities, right? Not that they are, but just based upon what we've been, the pattern so far, we can assume that. But let's read it and see what happens, right? Let's read it and see if that is correct. Okay, so again, this lecture was given at the Rotunda in Blackfriars Road on April 19th, 1831. All right, now let's go to the text. Here's the text and the highlight. That's where we will begin. Now, the capital God of peace. 1. What's the meaning of the capital God of peace? 2. And what's the difference between the capital God of peace and the peace of capital God, which the parsons tell us passeth all understanding? And how many capital Gods are there? Since we read not only of a capital God of peace, but of a capital God of battles, and the capital God of mercy, and the capital God of wrath, and the capital God of this world, and a capital God of heaven, with this most curious distinction that it is the capital God of peace who alone is called the very, note y'all, scholars, that very is all capitalized. Capital V, capital E, capital R, capital Y, capital God of peace. All right. With this most curious distinction that it is the capital God of peace who alone is called the very capital God of peace. 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 23. Okay, that's where that's coming from. And in the Nicene Creed, the very capital God of very capital God. Are there some capital Gods that are not very capital Gods? Are there summer capital Gods, autumn and winter capital Gods, as well as very or spring capital Gods? And why is it that the very capital God and the verily way of speaking always stands in connection with something about a sheep or a mutton or a ram or a lamb or a toop or an ewe or a Rachel or a shepherd or a sheepfold? Never is the association varied. It is the capital God of peace that brings back the shepherd from the dead after he had been dead as mutton. And why is it that always after our ideas have been laid to the verily, 1 second, let me turn the page, y'all. And why is it that always after our ideas have been led to the verily shepherd of the sheep, we are admonished that we must go to plow, quote, to every good work and labor, end quote. So we already should know where the author is taking us, right? If you were here for the lecture on Freemasonry Part 1, and especially the lecture on Freemasonry Part 2, this should ring a bell, what we're talking about, right? But I won't give it away. Let's continue. We are admonished that we must go to plow, quote, to every good work and labor, end quote, in the cultivation of the earth. And then JC, the Christ figure, is defined as, quote, to whom be glory, end quote. That is, in whom is sunshine. And then the deity whose name is spelled A-M-M-O-N, A-M-M-O-N. So everyone, you see nature here, right? You see astronomy, isn't it? Okay. Next paragraph. Next paragraph. All right. How many people have ever thought about this right here? How many people have ever read that or thought about this? Let me read that sentence again. And then JC, the Christ figure, as defined as, quote, to whom be glory. How many people have understood or knew or know, rather, that glory has reference to the sun, that is, in whom is sunshine? And then JC is defined as to whom be or in whom there is sunshine. How many people have ever made that connection? Well, this connection we make in the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. This connection is made. If you want to know more about that, be sure to subscribe to our 101 Ancient Ibaryath course on zionlawschool.org. All right, you'll get a lot more on this topic. Don't let the $10 monthly subscription fool you. Okay, that course is easily market value $10,000, but we're giving it away free. Well, not free, but almost free. I mean, $10 is about as close as free as you can get, right? But that's because we want everybody to be able to afford to get it, okay? We want literally thousands or hundreds of thousands and even millions of people to use that streaming online course. Let's get back to the paragraph. But that type of information you'll find plentiful in the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. And not these questions, the like of which a rational man, let me repeat that, are not these questions the like of which a rational man would ask. And I would have to agree with them, right? Do you guys agree, scholars, that those questions that we just read in the previous paragraph are all logical or rational questions? Are not these questions the like of which a rational man would ask, and on which he would insist on receiving the most ample satisfaction? That is, he would expect to receive an answer that's reasonable, right? Not some faraway fairy tale stuff. In any matter which concerned, or which he thought might concern, his temporal interest. So that's all he's saying. The author is saying here, wouldn't you expect to get a real answer and not some BS or not some pie in the sky? For example, BS would be, well, you don't have the spirit, that's why you don't understand, or you're not ready because you don't have the spirit or the deity, or things like that everybody's heard in the church or in their religious organization as a explanation as to why you don't understand something or something doesn't make sense, right? And you just got to believe it. All right, so let's continue. Say that it might be something which would give him a title or claim to receive 20 or 100 or 10,000 pounds, or bring him under an obligation to pay or to make good such a sum, according as the letter and spirit of the document should determine. All right, so the author, it appears to me that the author is equating this with money, right? For example, if it was money involved, you'd like to know the details and the hard facts, and you wouldn't tolerate any BS. So let me read it again. Say that it might be something which would give him a title, right? Whatever the title might be, you can imagine, or claim to receive 20 or 100 or 10,000 pounds. That's money, right? See, if it involves titles or money, okay, or bring him under an obligation, that obligation would be like a debt, okay? You need to pay X amount of money, or you need to do X, Y, Z. That's an obligation, right? So an obligation to pay or make good on such sum, according as the letter and spirit of the document should determine. Y'all got that? So then you would expect a real and straight answer and no BS. Would he treat the copy of a lease, a will, or a title deed as he treats what he calls a revelation from capital God, who made him? Y'all see that? If it's something tangible, you ain't trying to hear any BS. Like, Like you ain't ready or you ain't got the spirit, right? That's BS. So the author's point is, why would you accept that as a reasonable answer, or those category of answers or responses? Why would you accept that when it comes to matters dealing with, let's say, the Bible or your relationship with some deity? Why would you accept that when at the lower level of dealing with something that's tangible, like a house, a car, a contract, you would never accept that? You would say that's BS right off the rip, right? That's the author's point. Let's go to the next paragraph. The highlighted part here. A revelation from the all-wise, capital G-O-D, on the proper understanding and due obedience to which his eternal happiness or eternal misery is at stake. A revelation originally written in Greek. So let's continue. Greek, the author exclaims, my capital G-O-D, like, what? Greek? What? And would not a sensible man say, does not the all-wise capital G-O-D know that I am an Englishman, or that I am a Moor, or that I don't know who I is, but I'm deaf, I'm black, I'm African American, I'm Latino, I'm Hispanic? Y'all see the point? And if he had been any revelation which he wished me to attend to, why didn't he write it in plain English? Y'all got that? Now that makes sense to me. Why not have an original document in every language of the people involved, right? Christianity says that the deity is saving the whole world. Why not have an original document in every language? And then that way, the deity in his wisdom and forethought eliminates all of the problems with understanding and potential scams in translation by giving it to you in your own language. Right? If it's really the deity's intent that you should get the information. Do y'all see the logic? All right, so let's continue. Y'all know how many people have been harmed, injured, killed, robbed out of religion, religious doctrine and dogma, cults, and they make up this doctrine through translations. All right, that's the author's point. So why not avoid that, right? All right, so let's continue. Next paragraph. Excuse me. Next paragraph, highlight. Excuse me. But the persons, ye see, very learned and entirely disinterested men, have kindly interposed in the affair and have given us a translation out of the original Greek into the vulgar tongue. Yes, they have. And the devil thank them for their interference. Y'all see that? So the author's point is that, again, for emphasis, if there is some deity who wanted you to know a message, right? It doesn't make sense for that deity to write it in Greek and then it has to be translated to hundreds of languages, because there's going to be room for error and people are going to be people, right? Lower self people are going to see it as an opportunity to get money in the bad way and accumulate power, right? And use it in a bad way. In other words, a lot of lower self people are going to see this as a business opportunity. Is it clear? Do you agree or do you disagree? If you disagree, why? If you agree, why? Put it in the comment section, please. Give people something to think about who watched this video. Put your comments in the comments. As a matter of fact, let me check the comment section. Put your comments in the comment section. Give people something to think about. Get their brains active. Okay, get their brains active. Share your knowledge with others, okay? Don't be shy and don't be scared. Don't be shy and don't be scared. All right. Help others by sharing what you know. Because y'all remember, there's somebody who's thinking what you're thinking. There's somebody who's asking the same question you're asking. There's someone out there who's too shy to ask a question that you're asking also. And then there's somebody who asked the question and only you know the answer. So put that information in the comment section and let's make this a most outstanding presentation. So let's continue. I'm going to start back from the top. The highlighted part. I, but the person ye see, very learned and entirely disinterested men, have kindly, see, in their goodness, have kindly interposed in the affair and have given us a translation out of the original Greek into the vulgar tongue. Yes, they, and the devil thank them for their interference. I thought that there had been but one mediator between capital G-O-D and man. Uh-oh, y'all see that? This is an excellent point. This is an excellent point. There's one mediator between capital G-O-D and men. But in fact, that is not the case, is it? Because you've got hundreds, if not thousands, of translators translating from Greek, according to the author, into all of the various languages, right? So from a factual point of view, there are thousands of mediators between capital G-O-D and men, not just J.C. Christ figure. Y'all see that? Let's continue. All right, so I'll start there again. I thought that there had been but one mediator between capital G-O-D and man. But if there be no means of knowing the will of capital G-O-D, but by a revelation, which requires to be translated. Why? Why for capital G-O-D? Y'all see the author's point here? It makes no sense. That's what the author is saying. It is factually incorrect. Only one mediator between capital G-O-D and man, but you got to have all of these people, maybe thousands, or maybe even tens of thousands, I have no idea, who are translating from Greek into every other language. All right. So, okay. So, yes, they have. Well, and I thought there had been but one mediator between capital G-O-D and man. But if there be no means of knowing the will of capital G-O-D, but by a revelation which requires to be translated. Why for capital G-O-D? There must be as many mediators as translators. I knew that was coming. So y'all see the author is saying, hey, you know, if you need a revelation to understand it, but yet you have to have all of these translators come into play, well, then it's really no revelation at all. Because the translators, there are going to be some who are, lower self people, and they're going to do what they can do to make money off of it, right? In other words, they're going to make some changes. Okay, they're going to make some changes. All right, and then, so whatever the real revelation may have been is no longer there. So, according to the author, this is nonsense, foolishness, right? And if someone was doing something like this to you in business, something that involved money or property, right? You wouldn't tolerate it. That's the author's point. You would not tolerate it. All right, so let's continue. But look then, the translation, such as the translators, these constituted mediators, let me read that again. But look then at the translation, such as the translators, these self-constituted mediators between capital G-O-D and man, have given it us, these very learned and entirely disinterested clergy, who, seeing the capital G-O-D wish to communicate his will to us in generous condescension to our ignorance, and to capital G-O-D's ignorance as well as ours, have kindly interfered to tell us what he means. Y'all got that? Y'all got that? So it makes absolutely no sense, right? Makes no sense whatsoever. Let's say the deity, in the gospel, let's say the Father, right? And JC, the Christ figure. Okay, the Father wants information to be known. JC, the Christ figure, is the mediator, gives it, right? But yet he goes through a clergy class who are murderers, power hungry, self-centered, no discipline, always having orgies, always over drinking and overeating, gluttons, right? All of the negative things you can think about that we went over in this book, all of the pedophilia that's been going on for centuries, right? All of that, he would use these type of people to translate his message to you, good old you, innocent you, who never hurt anybody. All you tried to do was be right, as my mother would say, in capital G-O-D's eyes. All you tried to do was be right. But yet he put these money-hungry, greedy pedophiles, criminals, people who usurp governments, whole governments. He would use them to translate the message he wants you to have and know about him so that you could be saved. You see how ridiculous that sounds? Okay. So in other words, would you do business with a known criminal, a known liar, someone who's known not to be trustworthy, and if he ever had some money in his pocket, or if you paid him, he ain't going to perform the service, right? You won't be able to find him, or he's going to do a horrible job. Would you do business with somebody like that? This is what the author is telling you. It's nonsense. Okay, so now let's continue. Now I'm explaining what I understand the author to what his meaning is. Okay, so if you have a different point of view, put it in the comment section. And if you feel angry and upset, don't blame it on me. I'm just reading what the author has written and explaining it. I dare say capital G-O-D would have explained it himself if he could. right? He'd be better off explaining it himself than going through these dirty, rotten, evil, wicked people and then expecting you to believe them, right? The only way you would believe them is if you are not aware of their history and what kind of people they are, right? That's the only way you would believe them. And that's the reason why you do believe them. But here is the meaning brought down to the meanness of the meanest capacity, with this most singular advantage that the meaner a man's capacity is, the better is he satisfied with the meaning. Y'all got that? I think he's playing on words here. Okay. But here is the meaning brought down to the meanness of the meanest capacity, with this most singular advantage that the meaner a man's capacity is, the better is he satisfied with the meaning. So let's see how he develops this. And so hereafter, quote, the bull's blood and the goat's blood and the ashes of a calf, sprinkling the unclean, and JC the Christ figure suffering without the gate, and sprinkling us with his blood and sanctifying us with his blood, end quote. And all sorts of nastiness. And all sorts of nastiness comes the wind up. Okay, so we're here, y'all, at the bottom. And all sorts of nastiness comes the wind up about, let's go to the next page, the capital G-O-D of peace. Okay, here we are. All right. And the shepherd of the sheep, and the dead alive again, and the blood of the everlasting covenant, and JC the Christ figure, and glory forever and ever. And here we see again the deity's name, which is spelled A-M-M-O-N. And sure, sirs, they who think it no presumption to translate to you, what is it that capital G-O-D means? Ought not to persecute me for translating to you what it is that they mean. Y'all see that? We go through this topic. We go through this topic in the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course, the streaming course, very thoroughly. Also in our live Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time course, we go through this thoroughly. Who is this capital G-O-D? Who is the deity whose name is spelled A-M-M-O-N? And how does it, or how do they affect you and your life and your family, right? Let's continue reading. So if you want to know more, subscribe to that 101 class and then come for free on Saturday, y'all. All right? You are invited. And sure, sirs, they who think it no presumption to translate to you, what is it that capital G-O-D means? Most people don't know this, y'all. Most people don't know it, but you'll know it when you go through the 101 Ancient Ibaryath course. What is it that capital G-O-D means? Ought not to persecute me for translating to you what it is that they mean. In other words, the author is saying the secret society members hate him because he revealed what capital G-O-D means. Remember, they locked him up twice in prison, right? For revealing this information. Let's continue reading. So the author is saying, why are you getting mad at me? Why are you getting mad at me? Hold on, let me get some water. Man. All right, y'all. The author is saying, why are you getting mad at me for telling what capital G-O-D means? Why are you getting mad at me for telling the people what the meaning of these titles for deities and names of deities mean? Y'all supposed to be religious people. Why are you trying to lock me up? Or why did you lock me up twice? All right. We'll start with the highlight. It is the secret of the Masonic craft. Y'all got that? So this, the meaning of capital G-O-D, etc., is one of the secrets of the Masonic craft. It is the secret of priestcraft. It is the secret of lawcraft. Y'all got that? Y'all Moors got that? It is the secret of lawcraft and gospelcraft. It is the secret of everything that is secret. And then we see capital G. Take a look at this. Uh-oh. Wait a minute, y'all. Drop my book. Take a look at this. Y'all see that? Let's look at it. Take a look at the highlighted word. Capital G. Now you see the deity's name, right? See the deity? Okay. That is the AMEN, AMON, right? And AMMON. Okay. So y'all see that. You see the deity's name in this word right here. GAMMON. Everybody see that? Okay, so let's go back through this again. Give me 1 second, all right? I'm going to start reading from page 264 so that everybody gets this. And so here, after, quote, the bull's blood and the goat's blood and the ashes of a calf sprinkling the unclean, and JC the Christ figure suffering without the gate, and sprinkling us with his blood and sanctifying us with his blood, end quote. And all sorts of nastiness comes the wind up, right? In other words, you're standing downwind and you can smell it. It stinks, right? Blood stinks. And death stinks. And all sorts of nastiness comes the wind up about the capital G-O-D of peace, and the shepherd of the sheep, and the dead alive again, and the blood of the everlasting covenant, and JC the Christ figure, and glory or sunshine forever and ever. And we see the deity, capital AMMON. Now remember, glory is sunshine. Those of you who are subscribed to 101 Ancient Ibaryath, you'll note that, right? And you'll also note the relationship between sunshine and JC the Christ figure and the deity whose name is spelled AMMON. If you're subscribed to the 101 Ancient Ibaryath, of course, you will know that. And sure, sirs, they who think it no preposition or no presumption to translate to you, these are the translators of the Gospels, what it is that capital G-O-D means, ought not to persecute me. So the author is saying that this clergy class, the secret society members, have persecuted him wrongly for translating to you what it is that they mean. And they is emphasized, right? It is the secret of the Masonic craft. It is the secret of the priestcraft. It is the secret of the law craft and the gospel craft. It is the secret of everything that is secret. And then we see the word here highlighted that is spelled capital G, capital A, capital M, capital M, capital O, capital N. What the heck is that? Let's continue reading. Go to the door of a Masonic lodge. Give them 3 knocks. The dactylic knock, one long and two short. The anapastic knock, two short and one long. And the Adonic, one long, two short, and two long. One, tum titi, two, titi tum. Three, tum titi, tum tum. He's describing the knocks right here, okay? The 1 through 3, he's describing the sounds of the knocks that he mentioned here, okay? All right, so don't get confused with that. All right, so let's scroll up. Okay, so we'll begin here. Let's read. And then, as our blessed Savior says, quote, knock, and it shall be opened to you, end quote. And when it is opened, bounce in upon him and cry, quote, capital G, capital A, capital M, capital M, capital O, capital N, end quote. And my life on it, if the master of the lodge will not recognize you for a royal ark, that's a royal ark Freemason, without your ever having had your buttons taken off your clothes, a halter put round your neck, a dagger held to your breast, your eyes bandaged, or any other of those disgusting and filthy fooleries. So he's describing what the ceremonies are for you to get into Freemasonry, the Royal Ark, okay? He's saying if you know this password, if you know this knock, and then you give that, and then you spell this deity out, or whatever this is, capital G-A-M-M-O-N, he said they'll let you in. They'll just assume that you're a member, right? You don't even have to go through all of the initiation. All right, so this is what the author is saying. So let me continue reading. Let me show you guys where I am. So I'm gonna continue reading here, okay? Or any of those other disgusting and filthy fooleries, whose usage accounts for so many kings and princes and dukes having been Freemasons. All right, so that's the origin or the tradition, right? Kings and dukes, these royal or alleged royal families. I don't know if he's talking about the Moorish royal families here or the Europeans. Let me see. I don't know which, what time in history he's talking about. But you see, he's saying here that the many kings and princes and royal dukes. All right, so you can just bet your bottom dollar that the kings and the princes of the world are still Freemasons. Okay, so now let's go here. We'll begin reading in this paragraph, excuse me. The word capital A, capital M, capital M, capital N. Let me respell that. The word capital A, capital M, capital M, capital O, capital N, which is really and truly the identity, the very same as our word, capital A, M, E, N, which comes at the end of all our prayers and creeds and collects, at the end of all the titles and epithets of JC the Christ figure, and at the end of everything that is excessively nonsensical and mysterious, always signify the secret one, the hidden, the occult, and was uttered in a low voice in imitation to the mystics that something was to be sought for, that was lost, and to be found again. There was a sub-auditor, a sub-intellitor, something of which you were to give quote, something of which you were to quote, give it in understanding, but not tongue, end quote. In other words, you're supposed to understand it, but don't speak it. Don't say it. Learn it and understand it, but don't ever talk about it. That's what it's saying. And in this case, It was one of the names of Jupiter, and has regularly closed his catalog of titles of those of JC, the Christ figure, signifying that Jupiter was the deity whose name is spelled Ammon, as it is also signifies to those who look for significations that JC, the Christ figure, is the deity whose name is spelled Ammon. So y'all see this, okay? So Jupiter, JC, the Christ figure, and the deity whose name is spelled Ammon, they're all the same deity, which is what we suspected. Remember when we first started, when we read Hebrews, when we read let me see, what was that? When we first started, we read Hebrews chapter 13, verse 20. Y'all remember that? All right. So now we see that our suspicion is correct. So this is one of the great things about knowing how to read and comprehend. You can make predictions, okay? You can make predictions or you can make assumptions, right? And then as you read, you can search for information to confirm or deny, right? All right, which gives you confidence because you know that that you've mastered the topic, okay? All right, you understand it, in other words. That's what I'm trying to say, you understand it. Okay, so we are here. Okay, so let's continue reading. Okay, the deity here, Jupiter. How am I going to do this? Hold on. I don't want to keep speaking these deities' names, y'all. I'll show y'all why in a minute. This deity, whose name is spelled Jupiter hyphen Ammon, being precisely the same deity as JC, the Christ figure, who is capital Amen, or as it stands at the beginning of a will. Notice this, y'all, or as it stands in the beginning of a will. I'm going to start reading here. In the name of capital God, Amen, and both the deity whose name is spelled Jupiter. The next deity listed is Ammon, and capital God, Ammon. Let's switch the page. And JC, the Christ figure, and the deity Amen are personifications of the Sun, S-U-N, are all personifications of the S-U-N Sun, who is the deity Jupiter in spring, Christ in summer, JC in autumn, and the deity whose name is spelled Amen in winter. So scholars, those of you who have been with us since the beginning or a while, you should know these landmarks, right? So let's go ahead and pull up these landmarks. Landmarks in the celestial calendar, right? We're going to look at the landmarks in the celestial calendar. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull it up. All right. Give me one moment, please. Let me get the file and pull it up. We're going to look at the landmarks in the celestial calendar that the author just mentioned for us. All right. And you guys have seen this slide 100 times. So just let me find it real quick, okay? Give me 1 second. Always, always a good thing to visualize. It makes learning more complete. All right, so I found it. Give me 1 second, y'all. Let me show it to you. All right. Let's see. Let me pull it up. Patience, please. All right. Okay, so now let's take a look. We have our illustration here. So let's go back and let me read that again. The deity whose name is spelled Jupiter. So we're not talking about the planet. We're not talking about the planet. We're talking about the deity, okay? The deity, not the planet. Jupiter-AMMON, being precisely the same deity as JC, the Christ figure, and the deity whose name is AMEN. So these are all the same deity, right? Or as it stands at the beginning of a will, remember the author made the analogy between a business contract, property, and a revelation made by the deity. How people will accept something foolish, BS, like, oh, you ain't ready because you don't have the spirit. Right? Remember that analogy. So the author is going back to this. So now he's talking about something that has to do with business or passing property from one generation to another. So at the beginning of the will, it states, in the name of capital God, the deity AMEN. Okay, and you take a will seriously, don't you? People don't play around with wills. You can't get away with BS with the will. Y'all see how people fight when somebody expires. They're gonna fight over that will, right? Let's continue. And both the deity whose name is spelled Jupiter, the deity whose name is spelled AMMON, and the deity who is capital God, AMMON, and JC, the Christ figure, the deity AMEN, are all personifications of the, take a look at the cursor. These are all personifications of the sun. Y'all got that? All of them are deities that represent the sun, personifications of the sun, anthropomorphic sons. Y'all got it? All right. Are all personifications of the sun, who is the deity. We're in the springtime now, right? This is the deity whose name is spelled Jupiter. March 21st is spring, right? So this is the vernal equinox. This is the vernal equinox. The deity Jupiter. Remember, there's also a planet called Jupiter, right? Next, Christ in the summer. So that's going to be somewhere around here, right? That's going to be somewhere around here. What's that going to be? The summer solstice, when the sun is at its zenith, right? Summer solstice, when the sun is at its zenith, that is the Christ. And in autumn, September 23rd, the sun is going to be called what? The sun is going to be called Jesus in the autumn. So again, in the springtime, the sun is the deity whose name is spelled Jupiter. In the summer, the sun, the name of the sun is the deity Christ. And in the fall or the autumn, the sun becomes the deity JC. Well, not JC, but Jesus. All right, y'all got it? And in the winter, which is here, you see where the declination is? This is the winter solstice. The deity is the deity whose name is spelled Amen. So in every case, the sun simply changes the name. So in winter, again, in winter, the sun is personified and the deity is capital A-M-E-N. The sun in the winter is the deity A-M-E-N. The sun in the spring is the deity J-U-P-I-T-E-R. The sun in summer is the deity C-H-R-I-S-T. The sun in the fall or the autumn is the deity whose name is spelled J-E-S-U-S. Is it clear? All right. All these deities are the same. They are only personifications of the sun. That means they can't do nothing to you, right? They can't harm you unless, of course, you believe. Unless, of course, you believe. And then you can harm yourself and you can give other powerful entities access into your life and really do you damage. All right, so let's take a look at the comments. Shalawama, Roderick's point of view writes, good evening, I'm on my way to work, but I like what you're speaking about and it does make sense. Okay, excellent. All praises to the Most High, Roderick. Excellent, excellent. Roderick continues. I totally get what he's saying, and I totally understand because that is my argument. People seem to not realize who translated the Bible. It was wicked people that translated the Bible. Man, there you go, man. Tell me about it. Roderick's point of view. Make it bigger. Make what bigger, Roderick? Oh, you gave this comment a long time ago. My bad, man. I've been reading, and y'all know I have a hard time doing more than one thing at a time. I admit it. Oh, you must mean make the PDF bigger. Okay. All right. So let's see. It's already 100%. I'm gonna have to figure something else out on how to do this. I got to figure out something else, a better way to do this if this is too small for you all. Okay, thanks for that feedback, Roderick. I'm going to figure something out. Make an effort to figure something out so it's more convenient for everybody to see. All right. So what do y'all think about what we're reading? Put your comments or questions in the comments. Let me know. What do y'all think? Appalachian Joe L writes, Islam, Dr. Yasafa. Islam, Appalachian Joe L, good to see you back. Let me know what y'all think about this. The sun is all of these deities. So y'all remember, spring is the vernal equinox. Fall is the autumn equinox. Summer is the summer solstice. That's when the sun reaches its highest point in the sky, which is called the zenith or the Christ. In the winter, the sun reaches its lowest point in the sky, which is called the declination. Okay, it's called the declination, and this is the winter solstice. So here we see a straight line. So from vernal equinox to vernal equinox, there's a straight line. And from the summer solstice to the winter solstice, there's also a straight line. You just don't see it in this illustration. Okay, so Appalachian Joe L writes, exactly which book is this copy? I downloaded one, but it does not seem to be the same. Well, this is maybe you downloaded the wrong one. This is the book. You'll see New York on the cover. It'll say published by Calvin Blanchard, 76 Nassau Street, 1857. I'll go ahead and read the whole title of the page so you'll know. It says The Devil's Pulpit, or Astrotheological Sermons by the Reverend Robert Taylor, B.A., author of the Diegesis Syntagma, with a sketch of his life and an astronomical introduction. New York, published by Calvin Blanchard, 76 Nassau Street, 1857. That's the one you want. I put the link for it in the description box, Appalachian Joel-El, of this video. So if you want, go into the description area of this video, and there you'll find a link. Okay, you'll find a link to the book. All right, so let's continue. How long have we been going? Okay, so see, there's not much happening in the comment section. I don't know if that's because you all are not interested, or I don't see anything that's complicated about what we've been talking about so far. This is pretty easy. So I don't think it's because nobody understands, but if I'm wrong, let me know. All right, so let's see. Why is the comment section so quiet? Page 266. Whence the mystic game of hide and seek, or bo peep, or blind man's bluff, or hunt the slipper, or something that was lost and again to be found, or something that was hidden and to be sought for, which is one of the common and universal conceit that run throughout all forms of religion that ever were in the world, and never differing in any one religion from the ceremonies of any other. Thus, the Freemasons pretend to seek for the lost secrets of Hiram Abiff. The worshippers of the deity whose name is spelled I-S-I-S seek for the remains of the deities whose name is spelled O-S-I-R-I-S. The Eleusinian Dionysian Adoni, the deity whose name is spelled B-A-C-C-H-U-S. The Masonic, Jewish, and Christian mysteries alike abound in the same figures of speech about seeking the capital L-O-R-D and calling on the name of the capital L-O-R-D as if to awaken him with the sort of, quote, holla, end quote, capital G-O-D Almighty. So in other words, you got to seek him, find him, and call him. Where are you, my capital L-O-R-D, capital G-O-D? So the author is saying that all religions require you to have to seek out something, search for something. And that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Because if you need to seek for something, that means you're going to give it time, attention, and effort, right? And when you give something time, attention, and effort, that's giving what? Not only your energy, but you're giving your imagination, and you're working for it. And that's going to do what? That's going to make it real in your life. And that's going to give you what? A purpose. Your purpose is to seek and find. Your purpose is to seek and find, regardless of what religion you're in. You're seeking and you're finding. See, the imagination has been captured. They enslaved you. All right. So the author also says, and I thought this was really interesting. He opens the paragraph. Look how he opens this paragraph. It says, hence, the mystic game of hide and seek. Now, when I was a child, we played hide and seek all the time. That meant I loved hide and seek. We all loved hide and seek. Hence, the mystic game of hide and seek, or bo peep, or blind man's bluff, or hunt the slipper, or something that was lost and again to be found, or something that was hidden and to be sought for, something that was hidden and to be searched for, which is one of the common and universal conceit that runs through all forms of religion that ever were in the world, and never differing in any one religion from the ceremonies of any other. Y'all see that? So it sounds to me like the author is telling us that these games have been set up, have been created for children to prepare them to accept hide and seek in religion. Y'all see that? These games, it appears to me that the author is indirectly saying that the game of hide and seek, Bo Peep, Blind Man's Bluff, all of these have been created by the dark priesthood to condition the mind and prepare people to play hide and seek in religion. Y'all follow me? These are some wicked people. So they start with innocent games, or games that appear to be innocent, and they're doing this to innocent children without us even knowing. As you will observe, all these seeking for the deity, let me repeat that. As you will observe, all these seeking for capital G-O-D begin with the mighty big O, as in O, capital L-O-R-D, capital G-O-D, Almighty, and O, capital L-O-R-D, J-C Christ, end quote. And end with the crying out the word of the game, or the word of life, as it is called. Okay, and end with the word of life, which means the word of the game. As the bishop is exhorted to hold fast the faithful word, 1 Titus chapter 9, which is a sort of whoop or pus, give me a little water. The faithful word being the deity whose name is spelled capital A-M-M-O-N. And it is never till they cry capital A-M-M-O-N that the fervent prayermonger rises from his knees, takes his hand away from his eyes, and seems as if he had just recovered his lost senses. Okay, that appears to have a reference to some type of ceremonial type of thing that they're doing in Freemasonry, right? Lost and found. Okay. Next paragraph. Next paragraph. But it is especially to be observed that this mystical operation of seeking the capital L-O-R-D is always to be performed with the eyes shut, or at least only squinting between their fingers. There being nothing that religious people are so much afraid of as letting in too much light upon their dark fooleries. In other words, they like being stupid. It is the self-same game of the nursery. Only the big fools are playing at it instead of the little ones. The game of shut your eyes and open your mouth and see what capital G-O-D will send you. All right, so the author is telling us that the adults are still playing hide and seek, but they're playing hide and seek in religion. A more complicated form, a more complex form of hide and seek that children play. The adults are still playing it in religion. I'm laughing because I was in religion for a long time. I was under the spell for a long time. I can laugh at this. I'm not laughing at anybody. I'm laughing at myself. Right? All right. So you close your eyes and you open your mouth and you see what the deity will send you. And that's just what happens. All right. Only the worst on it is that the 40 and 50-year-old babies, when we won't play with them at hide and seek, are for changing the game into prisoners' bars. A dirty trick that serves when they dare not attempt to grapple with the man's argument. So the author again is alluding to the title of the book, The Devil's Pulpit. The author's meaning here is that when he decided he didn't want to play hide and seek anymore as an adult in religion, when his conscience started to bother him because he had reached the level, or he had reached the degree of Freemasonry where they told him all the secrets, right? He knew that the gospel, according to Freemasonry, is a fairy tale, and it's all talking about the sun and the constellations. The author, as he gave his sermons, over time began to feel ashamed and embarrassed, right, about what he was doing. So he started telling the truth. And then his fellow clergy, Freemasons, secret society members, they got mad because he didn't want to play hide and seek anymore, and they put him in prison twice. When he got out, they branded him as the devil's chaplain, hence the title of the book, The Devil's Pulpit. He took what was meant to destroy him by being branded the devil's chaplain. He took that and made it into a book title. And this book has been around since 1857. The Devil's Pulpit by Reverend Robert Taylor. All right. This is what the author is talking about. They get mad at you when you don't want to play the adult version of hide and seek anymore, which is religion. That's good. The adult version of hide and seek is religion. You're always seeking something, right? You got to put all this effort, put all this money, put all this time into finding the deity or into finding something. You're doing nothing but playing hide and seek. That is funny. Let me look at the comments. Let me look at the comments. Roger's point of view writes, laugh out loud. He continues, well, it's only too small for me because I'm on the phone and I'm looking at the phone, so that's why it's too small. Okay, I thank you, Roderick. Much appreciated. Appalachian Joel says he got it. That's with reference to the link for the book in the description area. Appalachian Joel continues, this is the exact reason Pope Francis wrote these civil orders to dissolve all charters. They had confounded everything so badly, they lost their own damn way. Yeah, good point. Roger's point of view writes, very interesting. Just like believing in Santa Claus prepares people for believing in the deities. You know what, man? That's right, Roderick. I never thought about that. But yeah, you are exactly right. Wow. This is funny, y'all. This is funny. Let me see. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so I already read that one. All right, this is funny. So all y'all religious people, y'all ain't doing nothing but playing the adult version of hide and go seek. But you know what? I would imagine that if a religious person was here, they'd probably be very angry at me. I could see that happening. Y'all might think I'm laughing at y'all, like laughing at you or putting you down. I'm really, really not, because I've been there. I was in religion for 30 plus years. So I'm not laughing at you. Trust me. But if you feel upset, I do understand why you would feel that way. I used to know this guy, this Russian dude. Well, he was born in Russia, but raised in the States. And at that time, I used to be very religious. And he used to always tease me, oh, you believe in JC, you also believe in unicorns? He used to say stuff like that, and they used to piss me off, right? I mean, it really used to piss me off. But he thought it was hilarious, you know? I don't know if he was a secret society member or not, but what I do know, he was in some fraternities. And he hid it from me. Let me tell y'all about this guy. We were real cool. We were over in a foreign country together, right? And this dude, he was in a fraternity. We were studying. We were in a fraternity. No, he was in a fraternity, and we were studying for exams, right? This dude, through his fraternity, had copies of old exams that had been given. Y'all know the way the game works. If a professor was in a fraternity, that professor will likely give exam questions, or either maybe he'll give last year's or 3 years ago, he'll give the exams to the people who are in his fraternity. So they do that. That's the motivation. One of the motivations to get in these fraternities. I didn't know it at the time. So this dude had all the exams, and we used to hang out, laugh, and joke, real close buddies. Never once did this dude tell me that he had copies of the exams. Never once. This was a Russian dude, red hair and the whole 9 yards. And we were close. We had developed a real good friendship. That guy never told me. He watched me suffer, struggle, just like everybody else, and he's taking it easy. Okay? How do I know? That's the question. How do I know? Because it was a brother from, I don't remember if it was from, it wasn't Nigeria. What country? What country was it from? Hold on, y'all. I don't remember what country it was from. He was maybe Cameroon. One of those countries. I can't remember. It was so long ago. He told me that he had copies of the exams, right? I said, what? You got copies? He said, yeah. I said, how in the world can you get copies? He said he got it through his fraternity, right? He said he got it through his fraternity, and that he told me this dude, my friend, was in the same fraternity, and he also had them, the Russian guy. Darrell-El writes, cheating. They never pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps. They rise on the backs of others. Yep. So the guy asked me if I wanted them, and I told the guy, no, I don't want them, because when you think about it, what good is it going to do you? Let's say you get the old exams, and now you start studying questions and answers. That doesn't do you any good. All you know is the exam question and the answer. You don't have any understanding of the material, right? It's better to study, and to study consistently, so that you understand and have a mastery and a command over the information. But I did appreciate what that brother told me, because it let me know that this Russian guy was a piece of you-know-what, right? He's just a user, a piece of you-know-what, hanging around me, trying to get whatever might fall off of the tree, whatever he could use me for. But this is the nature of secret societies. And I never knew about this stuff, y'all, until that brother from Cameroon, I think he may have been from Cameroon, told me what was happening. Okay, so anyway, let's continue. Let me go back to the document. Yeah, they cheat. They cheat. It's nothing to be proud of, in my opinion. If that's the only way you can win, back in the day, y'all remember it was a very popular commercial. I thought this commercial was hilarious. It was this troglodyte. It was this troglodyte, right? And he was competing against his grandmother. And he was excited to beat his grandmother. But he was a grown man. You understand what I'm saying? He's a grown man competing with his grandmother. What kind of victory is that? Right? What does that say about you? You celebrate the victory because you be the elderly lady who happens also to be your grandmother. See, it's a shallow victory. But some people are shallow like that. Win at all costs. They don't care how they get the victory, just win. But me, I'm not that kind of person. I'm not that kind of person. All right, so let's go back to our document. Give me 1 second. I got to pull it up. All right, y'all. So we are here. No, this is the paragraph we just read, I think. So I think we're here. Yeah, we're at the last paragraph. Hold on. Page crossway. Wait a minute, y'all. I think I'm on the wrong page. Yeah, I'm on the wrong page. Give me 1 second. Yeah. Okay. So let's begin reading with the highlight. Thus, when the wise and studious had compared the glorious ark of heaven, remember, y'all, the glorious ark of heaven, that's the that's the starry sky. Thus, when the wise and studious had compared the glorious ark of heaven to the vaulty dome of a magnificent temple, it was much easier to jump to the conclusion at once that it was Solomon's temple than to take any pains to learn astronomy. Who knows? But that there might have been such a temple. In other words, was there really a Solomon's temple? And certain it is that very fine temples have been built precisely as, can y'all make this word out? What is that? Globia? Precisely as Globias, Eduranians, and oraries are constructed at this day. Let's go to the top. We're on the next page now. Exactly as they are constructed at this day, we're at the highlight there at the top, in which the great model of what astronomers and philosophers have observed in the visible heavens has been represented in the forms of ornaments of our churches, cathedrals, and chapels to this day. So y'all see the connection? In other words, these churches and cathedrals have ornaments that have astronomical or that represent stars or constellations. That's what the author is saying. To this day, that was in 1831, okay? The original devisers, intending them as temples of science, the barbarians into whose hands they have subsequently lapsed. Okay, so the author has just told us some very important information. The author has told us that the builders of those structures that were known at that time or that were being used at that time as churches and cathedrals, the original builders built them with astronomy in mind. Let me read it again. The great model of what astronomers and philosophers have observed in the visible heavens have been represented in the forms and ornaments of our churches, cathedrals, and chapels to this day. So now we know that the Moors built those structures. we know that the Moors built these structures that are now called churches and cathedrals and capitals and chapels rather. The Moors did it reflecting astronomy. Okay. All right. Now, what is this telling us? When the troglodytes came into power and they captured and seized these magnificent buildings, they converted them over into churches and cathedrals. Y'all follow? The hybrid troglodytes, according to Moorish science, converted these buildings into churches. All right. The original devisers, that would be the Moors, the original builders, intending these structures, these mega structures, the original devisers or Moors, intending them as temples of science. Y'all see that? These structures initially were temples of science, and the heavens, the constellations, etc., were built into the design, as above, so below, so to speak. The original designers, who were Moors, intending them as temples of science, not religion, y'all. Y'all see that? As temples of science. The barbarians, into whose hands they have subsequently lapsed, perverted them into means of perpetuating the first and grossest conceits which infancy could form, and thus binding down the child who, when he was a child, did not think as a child and speak as a child, when he became a man, to be as great a child as ever. Y'all got that? And to this day, you will see the 40-year-old babies running away from the rotunda. The rotunda is where the author gave these astrotheology and Freemason lessons. So they were running away from the rotunda, meaning they were running away from the science that the author was dropping. For fear anything should be explained to them, and praying to capital God that they may die in the same faith that they were born in, and so be brought down no wiser than they were brought up. Now remember, the author told us in earlier parts of the book that the other pastors, these Freemasons, told the people, don't go to the rotunda, don't go listening to Reverend Robert Taylor because he's a devil. You're going to lose your salvation. You're going to burn in hell forever. So this is what he's talking about. So there were people who would avoid going to the rotunda because of what their religious leaders told them, not knowing that had they gone to the rotunda, they would have received philology, a scientific explanation of the Gospels that could have freed their mind in the author's point of view, right? So note again that the Moors created these megalithic, fantastic structures that are called cathedrals, etc. today for science. They were centers of scientific learning. They were built to reflect astrological phenomena built into the architecture of these buildings. But when the hybrid troglodyte niggers came in, took control, they converted them into religious buildings. They trained people to hide and seek and to value ignorance and to be afraid to learn anything differently than the religion that they were born into. Therefore, they would die in their folly and foolishness, being total mental slaves to the church. All right. Let me check the comment section. All right. So let's see. Let's go through some of our comments. All right. Darrell-El writes, cheating, they never pull themselves up by their own bootstraps. They rise on the backs of others. Yep. Roderick's point of view, right? It made you smarter than him. Mm-hmm. Darrell-El writes, monoliths. Appalachian Joel L writes, this is so on point. Appalachian Joel L continues, they have never stopped the fear campaign. Mm-hmm. Freedom right at one's fingertips to know, but belief in falsehoods. Roderick's point of view writes, the temples were built on what is known as ley lines, and they align in such a way as to generate powers. Yes, indeed. That's an excellent point. That's an excellent point. Excellent point. So you see, y'all, our ancestors were brilliant, very brilliant people, masters of science, masters of all of the sciences. And they built these buildings to reflect astronomical phenomena, right? And the only way to do that is what? Having a very, very masterful understanding of mathematics, right? Mathematics. Okay, so let's see. How long have we been at it? 9:30, 9:30, 10:30, 11:30. Let's see. Let's go a little bit longer. Let me see, y'all. These next few paragraphs are small. So let's take a look. Uh-oh, hold on. Yeah, okay. So let's take a look at a little bit more. Let's continue reading because these next few paragraphs are short. So we can continue. We'll start at the top of the page right here at the highlight. But now for demonstration. Uh-oh. But now for demonstration. Look, I beseech you as to the two pillars. Remember we talked about the two pillars. But now for demonstration. Look, I beseech you as to the two pillars, which constitute the essential emblem of Freemasonry. You never saw or heard of a Masonic lodge in which that emblem was wanting. In other words, all Masonic lodges at that time had those two pillars. They are called respectively Boaz and Jachin, the names which Solomon, the wisest of men, is said to have given the two pillars, which he set up in the porch of the temple. Did anybody have a chance to search for the pictures of the Hebrew Israelites with these standing in between these two pillars? If you have a link, please put it in the comment section. Next paragraph. Quote, and he set up the right pillar and called the name thereof Jachin. And he set up the left pillar and called the name thereof Boaz. 1 Kings chapter 12, verse 21. As the Masons of the present day absurdly pretend that Boaz and Jachin were Masons employed under the direction of the great master Hiram Abiff. And to their honor, these pillars were respectively consecrated. So here's Hiram Abiff again, y'all. Remember, Hiram Abiff was the man who acted honorably, who when some robbers at a building site, y'all remember the story? The robbers at the building site demanded that he tell them the secrets, and he said no, and they killed him, right? And he died with all of these Masonic secrets, and all of the Masons have been chasing and playing hide and seek to discover these secrets that Hiram Abiff knew, right? They're looking for clues and relics and trying to figure out what Hiram Abiff knew. Find these lost secrets. Okay, next paragraph. Boaz, the column on the left, being the name of the master of the apprentices in the Masonic mysteries. Jachin, the column on the right, being the name of the master of the fellow crafts mason in the same mysteries, while Hiram Abiff, the immortal widow's son, who is the J.C. Christ figure of the system, and the great object of their idolatrous veneration. So in other words, Freemasons are venerating Hiram Abiff in the same way that Christians venerate J.C. the Christ figure, right? All right, so Hiram Abiff is J.C. the Christ figure in Freemasonry, and the great object of their idolatrous veneration, or their religion, right, is honored by the consecration of a tomb. So Hiram Abiff is honored by the consecration of a tomb, which is placed at the north part of the sanctuary. While a rope that comes from the coffin in the north, let me read that for y'all again. While a rope that comes from the coffin in the north goes by the obelisk in the south and binds the two columns together, which columns, says the perfect master, are fixed crossways. It was at the fixed crossway called the pillar Jachin, the right-hand pillar, that Jachin paid the craftsmen their wages. That was very just of him. Could anything lead the mind more directly to the idea of justice? And justice, observe ye, standing at the crossway. All right. See, honorable behavior, right? And Jachin, the pillar at the crossway of justice, is master of the fellow craft masons who enjoy the fruit of their labor. So y'all already know where this is going, right? You should already know by the language by now. While Boaz, the pillar at the left crossway, is only master of the entered apprentice mason who do all the work. So Boaz got the worst job out of the two. So y'all know what this is referring to, right? Let me read it again. Or you should know. Or let me rephrase that. If you know what this is referring to, excellent and good for you. Okay. The astronomical, as a matter of fact, y'all put it in the chart, put it in the chat section. Let me read it again. Tell us what this means. Correlate this astronomically. And Jachin, the pillar at the crossway of justice, is master of the fellow craft masons who enjoy the fruits of their labor. While Boaz, the pillar at the left crossway, is only master of the entered apprentice masons who do all the work. So what is Jachin astronomically and what is Boaz astronomically? What is Jachin astronomically and what is Boaz astronomically? Put it in the chat if you know. Put it in the chat if you know. And also, what are the key words? What are the key words that led you to your conclusions? All right, let's continue reading. And that's a good one. That's a good one. So let me see, where are we? Page 268. Hold on. I'm confused. Let me find where we're at on the page. Give me 1 second, okay? 267. Okay, we're on page 268. Sorry about that, y'all. I might have to read that for y'all again. Okay, so this is where I'm reading from. Okay. So put your answers in the chat. I'll read it again. And Jachin, the pillar at the crossway of justice, is a master of the fellow craft masons who enjoy the fruits of their labor, while Boaz, the pillar at the left crossway, is only master of the entered apprentice masons who do all the work. So what are these astronomically? Let me check the chat to see if anybody was able to. Let's see. Okay, let me check the chat, y'all. Appalachian Joe L writes, freedom right at one's fingertips to know but belief in falsehood. Roderick's point of view, the temple. Okay, so we read that already. Okay. Darrell-El writes, harmonic frequencies, workers and supervisors, sun and moon. Anybody else? Thank you, Darrell. Anyone else want to add to this? Anyone else want to add to it? Let's see. Anyone else want to add to that? All right, so let's go over and take a look. Let's take a look. Okay, so Jachin and Boaz, remember these are the pillars. Okay, the equinox line, that's what we're dealing with now. When we deal with the two pillars, we're dealing with the equinox line. So the earth breaks the line, right? So now you have the line in the spring equinox being one pillar. What's happening in spring? Well, the snow's melted, and now you have to start preparing the ground and planting. So this is one pillar. So this is where all the work is done. So this is Boaz. See, Boaz. Okay. The second pillar is here. The autumn equinox. What happens in the fall? The harvest. You get the corn harvest and you get the wine harvest. Remember, the last day of the wine harvest is September 29, which is Michaelmas Day. So now you get to enjoy your fruit, the fruit of your labor. You got a lot of corn, you got a lot of grain, and you got a lot of wine. Only if you put the work in, the labor. Your works, your fruit will be what? In proportion to your labor. The labor is going in March, spring equinox. So what are we saying? March is Boaz. That's where you do all the work. You put the labor in, right? And then in the fall, you get the fruit of your work or the fruit of your labor, which is your harvest. So autumn equinox is Jachin. So now let me read it again. And Jachin, the pillar, see, here's the pillar, right? Jachin, the pillar at the crossway of justice. What is justice? Libra. Justice is Libra, the scales, the balanced scales. And Jachin, the pillar at the crossway of justice, is master of the fellow craft masons who enjoy the fruits of their labor. So enjoying the fruit of the labor is harvest time. Okay, while Boaz, so now here we're in March, spring equinox, while Boaz, the pillar at the left crossway, is only master of the entered apprentice masons who do all the work. What's all the work? Preparing the soil, planting the seeds, watering, right? Building fences, keeping out animals, right? All of that labor. This is what the author is talking about. So the two pillars have to do with the autumn and spring equinoxes, okay? That's what we are dealing with. Now, it says crossways. What is meant by crossway? It's the intersection. It's where the celestial eclipse crosses the celestial equator. So this is the celestial eclipse, this yellow line, where it crosses the celestial equator, this orange line. So this is the crossway. All right, and here's the crossway here. That's what that's talking about. All right, so now let's go back and see if we have any comments again. Let's go back to the comments. Roderick's point of view says, right, sounds like the equinox. Excellent, that is correct. That is correct. All right, so we just went through that. What time is it? 11:30. How long have we been going? Oh, 1 hour and 58 minutes, y'all. So let's stop right here, okay? Let's stop right here so the video is not unmanageable, or people won't be discouraged because it's too long to watch it. So if y'all like the content that you're learning, if you like what you've learned, what we presented, then consider supporting us. Consider allowing us to be more of a part of your educational experience by subscribing to 101 Ancient Ibaryath. This is our streaming online Ancient Ibaryath course, where you will learn etymology and linguistics, right? It's a very, very strong focus on etymology. You're going to learn all the things that there are to know about the pictographs, culture, grammar, and Ibaryath word studies, which are used to unlock hidden meaning that's locked inside Ibaryath words. You have to know how to do the Ibaryath word study because the meaning is not inside of any lexicon. Okay, you'll get 225 vocabulary words. So if you like learning with us, consider allowing us to have a greater part in your learning experience by subscribing to 101 Ancient Ibaryath. Also, again, we're promoting the 911 Ancient Ibaryath rescue book, the purple book, the international edition. Y'all see that they raised the price again. Okay, they raised the price again. I don't know why they've been doing this lately. Usually they don't do that. I don't know what's happening with Amazon, but usually, you know, they don't put stuff on sale. Anyway, so if y'all like our style, or if you like me, support us. I'm promoting this book because there's some things I want to do with it. Okay, so help if you want, if you can afford to support us financially by ordering this book, and then also any of our other books that we have written. You know, we have a lot of books. So go to zionlawschool.org, click on our products, and you'll see the books we've written. Or, which is probably even better, go to the description area of the video that we're doing right now, and you can look inside, look in the description area, and you'll see a list of about 7 books. Okay, you'll see a list of about 7 books. As a matter of fact, let me show them. Let me do a screen share. So this is, y'all want to support us, and if you can afford to support us, we would really appreciate it because it costs money to do this stuff. Y'all know that. And if you like what we do, then why not support us, right? Because it'll help us do more, better, and faster. All right, so here y'all see, this is the description area of the video. So this is all the links are here. We have about 7 books listed here, okay, that you can go through. And also the link for the one-on-one Ancient Ibaryath course is here. The link for our Saturday course, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is free. You can come for 2 classes for free. The link is here. I don't see how anybody can pass this up, to be honest with y'all. Right? I really don't, because it's free. Okay, so these are our Ibaryath recommended books that I have written. If you like my style, the way I teach, the way I present, then you'll most likely also like the way I write. So you see all of, not all, but you see 7 books, right? We have our own lexicon, the Dr. Yasapa Ibaryath Aramaic and English Verbal Roots Lexicon, which is more than 1,600 verbal roots. That's all of the verbal roots, okay? That's all of them. All right, including the Aramaic with the English renderings. All right, so all of these books buy on our website, zionlawschool.org. And here's the link for the Devil's Pulpit. If y'all want to get that, this is the link down here, okay? And I want to ask everybody to buy the Animals in the Bible. Let me click on this link. Buy Animals in the Bible. This book is only $9.99. It's full color. It's going to tell you the names of all of the Bible, animals in the Bible. All right. You can get this from Amazon.com. The pictures are beautiful. This is not only for babies, like little babies, they love this. Also for children, high school children, and adults, especially those who are visual learners. Okay, but this book will capture your children, infant and young children's attention, because the colors and the images are so vivid and brilliant. All right, so here we are, y'all. I am Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Oh, y'all didn't see it. Let me stop the share. I was talking. I thought y'all were looking at it. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School, and I want to say thanks again for spending your evening with us. And here's the animals in the Bible. Y'all can see it. Thanks for spending your evening with me for this. I think this is the Astrotheology presentation number 53. I think it, but check the title. I don't remember. All right. So I hope you learned something. I hope that you were caused to think about something differently than what you thought about it in the past. And I hope that these presentations have a positive influence and impact on your life. Remember, discuss this with your family and friends who want to listen. If they don't want to listen, don't waste your time. I mean, well, I wouldn't waste my time. All right, we don't have any responsibility or obligation to go preaching to people. All right, y'all. See y'all tomorrow, 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. No, not a.m. 9:30 p.m. So 9:30 at night. See you all tomorrow, 9:30 p.m., 9:30 at night. All right, Eastern Standard Time. Shalom and peace to all the Moors.